buyers, they are very practical. They are very intolerant of any AI slop. What is really striking is high quality, authentic, relevant content that addresses the needs of your buyer. I think the biggest difference is how do you do that at scale? The number of website visitors that we've received from our ICP accounts, about 10,000 of them, has gone up month over month since we started this process.
That's the impact side of this. I've got Gina Hortatsos, Chief Growth Officer for DefenseStorm.
Yes. Hi.
And thanks for being here.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And you guys are a cybersecurity company. Can you give me like the 1 to 2 to 3 sentence version of this?
Yeah, DefenseStorm is the only cybersecurity company that is specific for US-based community banks and credit unions. The issues facing that sub-industry of community regional banks and credit unions are pretty unique.
We're talking about this concept of a content machine.
Yes.
So the content side of marketing, you do a lot of things, content being one of them. You built this AI content machine, you turned it on this year. I guess what's happened?
Just like every other marketer, head of sales, head of customer success, we've been trying to figure out how to meet buyers where they are now that their buying process has changed so much. The way in which buyers are utilizing large language models to do research, to create shortlists, makes it even more important, not that we just meet them where they are, but that we figure out how to meet the bots where they are too. And as we were studying this problem, what is really striking is how important the fundamentals still are. High quality, authentic, relevant content that addresses the needs of your buyer. I think the biggest difference is how do you do that at scale? In order to meet the needs of the LLMs that are doing the research and putting the shortlist together, as well as the buyers who are validating that research and double checking those shortlists in preparation for reaching out to a vendor to help them solve their problem.
Yeah.
So it is still a dance.
Right. It's not like you just like, all right, we'll see you in 6 months.
Exactly.
Do your magic.
Do your magic. There is absolutely no magic to this.
There's people involved.
It is a lot of hard work. So as we were studying the opportunity that AI could bring to us, and of course this journey has been going on for well over a year as we've been adopting different tools and trying different techniques. But our buyers, our cybersecurity professionals, they are very practical. They are very intolerant of any AI slop. So we had some operating principles that we established early on, which was we have to remain authentic, core to who we are. The tells that LLMs spit out when they write and it's not edited are so well known by now. I mean, sure. I personally am a big fan of the M-dash.
Not anymore, you're not.
I am though, but not the way the LLMs use it. Claude, to me, the sentence structures, it's funny, I was talking to our CISO the other day and we're both avid readers.
Yeah.
It's both a shared hobby, and we were both talking about how the more we interact with AI, the more we crave human written, like really high quality prose, because you don't really get that from an LLM, no matter how well it's trained. So we studied this problem, we determined that we had to do this at scale, but we also had a core operating principle of keeping it authentic. Our other operating principle was architecture first. The residual benefit is that if you think about your corpus and what systems the engine would draw upon to create content ideas and then produce those ideas, the fact that we happen to have someone already on staff who was a go-to-market engineer, someone who actually used to be in a different role, but really was drawn to AI and go-to-market engineering and kind of raised his hand to take on this role, that helped a ton.
Have a volunteer, not just a voluntold situation.
Exactly. He's like, let me build this with you. Here is how we should think about, the corpus and how we train the model and how we run this task. So it's a combination of workflow, architecture, and human in the loop steps. We have to keep the human in the loop.
Speaking of authenticity, I want to just do a little rapid fire get to know Gina.
Oh gosh.
All right.
Let's go.
You ready? Okay, here's the first question. What'd you have for breakfast?
I'm pretty simple. I had Greek yogurt with some fresh picked Michigan blueberries.
No way. And they were fresh picked specifically from Michigan? Did you?
Kugel Farms in, I think it's in, not Baroda, Buchanan, Michigan, where we got our 10-pound box of blueberries. And we bought it on Saturday, and it's already almost gone.
Holy cow, they must be good.
They're delicious.
I had oatmeal with blueberries.
Okay.
So we had some blueberry crossover.
Full of antioxidants.
What is the quality that you find most appealing in a friend?
Integrity.
How do you define integrity?
I define integrity as doing what you say you're going to do and showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You said you were going to show up today, and you did.
Here I am. I was 10 minutes early.
And in fact, you are a little bit of an overachiever, maybe. Well, speaking of appreciation, let's flip over to anger. What makes you angry?
I think whatever the opposite of integrity is. If you don't show up, if you don't do what you say you're going to do, I just have a really hard time with not keeping promises or commitments.
Let's transition from personal Gina to professional Gina.
Okay.
When you think about your career, are there 3 milestones, moments you could give us like the quick version of?
So I think the first milestone is I did not set out to be a marketer.
Okay.
I studied psychology in college with the intent of becoming a therapist or a social worker.
Really?
And
cool.
then I realized that the classes that I was drawn to the most were more about experiment design and statistics, like how to run the numbers to figure out what your study was designed to glean.
Were you a numbers person before that? Were you in the
I was on the math team in high school.
Okay.
I was a mathlete.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't actually want to tell anybody at the time.
But now it's kind of cool.
I work in cybersecurity. I think it gives me some cred.
You got bonus credit.
I was on the advanced algebra trig team.
Wow.
I know. Word problems. They were my jam. So I studied psychology, and when I was pursuing a career in psychology, upon doing some reflection, I realized that it was really more understanding of motivations and how people make decisions and how people think about the problems in front of them was more interesting than me, than other more traditional careers. My first milestone was that pivot into actually market research. So I was running, when I first career out of grad school, I worked for J.D. Power Associates, the car satisfaction, but they also did satisfaction surveys for other industries. So I cut my teeth on market research there, and that really gave me such a training ground to really understand buyer behavior and motivations.
Well, you have to be getting good at asking the right questions and asking them a certain way, too.
So much of it was how to craft the questionnaire in a way that removed all bias. Milestone 2 is, not to date myself, but I started off in tech before it was SaaS. It used to be that software was updated with a floppy disk and the IT guy going from station to station to update the software. I spent almost 7 years at a company called Highland, which is based out of Cleveland, Ohio, and we rode that wave from on-prem only through cloud and what is now called SaaS. And then I guess the third milestone would be the recent one where I was just promoted to Chief Growth Officer at DefenseStorm. I started last August as Chief Marketing Officer, and now I get the privilege of leading not only our marketing team, but our sales and customer success teams.
So this content machine that you guys have built, I'm super fascinated by because, I mean, that's what so many of our clients are trying to figure out is like, well, what does that look like now, given AI? What can we do? What should we be doing? There are people who don't even want to touch it. There are people who are like, oh my gosh, let's figure this out, but we don't even know where to start. There's people who are like, I'm going to outsource everything to AI and I'm going to be able to not even, do anything and be involved in any way.
Yeah.
So your example would be great just for people to be like, what's an example of what we're talking about? Like when we say this content machine. So I guess, what is it?
Yeah.
And why is it?
It is a defined workflow with defined steps that is designed to ideate, produce, and publish content that is relevant to our buyers and also relevant to topics that we should talk about.
And what type of content?
We can do any type of content, but mostly awareness-based and maybe to mid-funnel-based content.
So blog articles.
Blog articles, and we're experimenting with some other formats that are still in development, but not just the articles themselves, but all the assets around the articles. So social posts and email copy and all of the assets that are wrapped around those offers.
And so copy, graphics?
And graphics, yes.
Video?
We are experimenting with video. We are not quite there yet.
Okay.
So the steps in our workflow as follows. I think architecture is really important. So for us, DefenseStorm uses Notion. The analogy I use is Notion is our heart and Claude is part of our mind. So Notion is our corpus. It's where all of our positioning and messaging lies, everything from all of our ICP insights and data. We have our market segmented. We have our buyers defined. And there's also a regular run that does voice of customer through analyzing pulling gong transcripts and analyzing. That's all automated. So we understand who our buyers are, what they care about.
And can I ask, this is information you already had before starting to build this?
We actually had to build the voice of customer automation,
okay.
But it all feeds into Notion. Okay. So if Notion is our internal corpus that contains our heart, who we are, what we do, how we help, who our market is, who our audience is, our branding, our tone and voice standards, all of the examples of copy and emails and stuff that we've done in the past to kind of draw on from a stylistic standpoint. And then what the machine does, and we might rename it because it's not, there's a lot of human
It's not just
in the
machine
loop steps.
stuff.
It's not just, but one thing it does do a great job of is it understands what our value propositions are. It understands our audience, our messaging. And what it does is twice a week, it will run a job where it will go out into the interwebs and find relevant topics, what people are talking about.
Is that through Claude?
That is all through Claude. Okay. And it will find out if there's any new regulations coming off the truck, if there was a recent breach or incident, what are the what are the financial institution specific cybersecurity feeds talking about. It looks on Reddit, it looks everywhere.
With the intention of using that to inform content you might create to then connect to your customer.
So what we see, first human in the loop step is like a content council where on a regular basis, some SMEs, some subject matter experts, and some marketing folks get together and review the ideas. So it spits out anywhere between 3 and 5 ideas every run. You can tell it to run unlimited ideas, but we kind of metered it for our purposes. Sure. You can train it on all of that, any parameter you want. We review the ideas on a regular basis, and the way that it's set up is it gives a summary of the idea, it gives the reasoning for the idea. So there's like a short paragraph that says, I think this would be good for you because your value proposition is this, and here's latest, insight why. And then we look through each of those and we kind of thumbs up or thumbs down the ideas. If we thumbs up the idea, there's a drop down that you restatus it to approved, and that's the trigger for Claude to go ahead and write the draft.
Okay, got it.
So Claude writes a draft, and it lets you know when it's ready for QA. The subject matter expert who is assigned, next human loop step is the subject matter expert who has assigned, and he's usually the person that thumbs up the idea. They then have to go in and read the draft and make any corrections. So
are they reading it from just expertise, or are they reading it for like writing?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are people who know good writing.
They are people often whose byline it's going to be.
Got it.
So they're okay with the first draft, but they have carte blanche to change it any way they want. Our experience is that the writing, the factual accuracy is getting better and better as the as Claude gets smarter and smarter. But there will always be, it doesn't matter how many examples you feed it, Claude's going to Claude sometimes.
Yes.
So you have to just you got to read everything.
We're kind of getting into how this works. I think one of the things I want to make sure people understand is, why are you doing this? What was the problem you were trying to solve in the first place? I mean, everybody, I think, talks about, well, let's do things cheaper, faster, so on and so forth. What was the reason?
The the opportunity that we were trying to solve for is that we had a lot of things that we wanted to say, and we just didn't have enough time for ideation and draft.
So it was efficiency.
It was efficiency, and it was also effectiveness and impact.
Okay.
The idea machine comes to us with some stuff that, like, even if everyone is reading their cybersecurity bulletins or their sources every morning, as a practitioner, if you're in the space, you really should devote 15 minutes to 45 minutes every day just sharpening your saw in the industry. So we get all kinds of feeds, and I'm always reading stuff, and our subject matter experts reading stuff. But the way that Claude, the idea machine, it's giving us some really interesting takes, and that we might not have thought of ourselves.
Sure.
Or maybe it's like a flash through your head as you're sitting in traffic and you don't write it down, and then it's out of your head. I think that ideas can come from anywhere, but and there are a lot of ideas out there, but this provides a structured process for parsing out the stuff that's most important, and it actually makes it happen.
Got it. So is it safe to say you were doing these things already?
Not at the scale and not at the speed.
So if you're doing, you're speeding up stuff that you've been doing, and you're doing more of it.
Yes.
Got it.
And it also takes the steps of SEO optimization, AEO optimization. It provides suggestions for promotions. It writes all of our promotional content once the draft is through QA and approved. So yes, I do think that, kind of the first key measure of AI is efficiency and effectiveness, but we're getting close to like exponential impact with this work. We don't want to eliminate any of the human in loop steps because I do think our output is so good, and I think it's the human in loop steps are part and parcel of the quality. So
there's a human in loop step number 2 where that SME reviews the work. Are there other important steps you think are worth mentioning that as you go through this that kind of help clarify how it works?
Yeah. So it finishes the draft, and then it has to go through. It has to be approved one last time, and then upon approval, it will create all the assets.
Okay.
We don't have it published, like pressing buttons, like posting stuff for us yet. We're just, trust but verify. We're not quite sure if you are ready for prime time, Claude, even though I think it probably can. But then being able to go back and report to the organization, we do a Built for Banking Tuesday where the whole company amplifies content and
like an employee advocacy type of moment?
Employee advocacy. It just takes a few minutes, but we've gained a bunch of LinkedIn followers. People are learning about the cool stuff that we're talking about.
Where would anybody who's watching this be able to go check out what we're talking about?
You could go to DefenseStorm.com.
So on your website,
you could go visit our profile on LinkedIn and X. Mm-hmm.
What are the results? Like, what have you measured the results?
We have. We have seen a significant uptick. So when we started this project, you know how you go into the LLMs once in a while and you find out if they're talking about you, like.
How do you do that, by the way?
You ask questions.
And you just like say, "Hey, are you talking about me?"
You say, "Hey, what are the best cybersecurity solutions for regional banks and credit unions?" And you see what
for your company. Talking about your company, yes, not
my
about
gosh,
you personally.
I'm not at all curious about what the.
Yeah, because you can Google yourself, right?
You totally can. You can ChatGPT yourself. I'm sure you can.
Never done that.
I don't want to. I don't know about myself.
Because if they're not talking about you, then it's also kind of like.
Do you think after they publish this podcast, it's going to say she really likes blueberries? Wouldn't that be weird?
What if blueberries becomes the thing that they know you most for?
That's not the worst thing. I don't mind being known for loving blueberries because I'm proud. I'm a proud blueberry lover.
Blueberry lover.
Before we started the project, I would prompt the LLMs because we're small and we compete against the behemoths of huge cybersecurity companies that are publicly traded. I put a prompt to all of the major LLMs, and we were either not mentioned or toward the bottom of the list of behemoth players. And I tested it a month ago on the heels of a board meeting, actually. You go in and they're like, how are we doing?
Yeah.
And we were at the top of the list for all of them. So I think that has serious.
So it's showing up in search on AI search.
It's citations.
On citations, okay.
So they're
So you're
picking
being
up our
cited on
content
those articles.
and they are mentioning us.
Exciting.
It is like I was
Citations.
very excited about that. Volume's great, but unless the quality is just as good, if not better, I think it's actually gotten better because of the relevancy to the market happenings that the research that Claude does can help us link to. So the throughput, and I'm very proud of the fact that we can produce a much higher volume without compromising on quality at all. The number of website visitors that we've received from our ICP accounts, our ideal customer profile accounts, banks and credit unions, we know who they are. There's about 10,000 of them, has gone up month over month since we started this process.
So that's the impact side of this.
That's the impact side of it. Yeah. So we have so many plans for continuing to evolve it, more formats and kind of quicker turns and kind of continue to automate where we can. But I think most of it is just continuing to build that corpus as we have for every time a new capability comes off the truck, making sure the model is picking up all of the pages where that positioning lies. And if any value proposition changes because we have new capabilities, because we have a new customer story, that the model continues to pick that up and iterates on, again, that mashup between what's happening in market and our unique capabilities. And we see a future where we like to say that we are not going to outspend our behemoth competitors, but we can outfit them.
I like that.
That's what we strive to do with this process.
For anybody who's in similar shoes, they're just sort of starting on this journey. Like, I think you've kind of helped demystify a little bit about, like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
But if they were actually going to go do this, like start to build this for themselves, what would they do? Is it start with the architecture? Is it like, where do you start?
I think going back to my psychology days in experimental design, you have to really crisply and comprehensively define the problem you're trying to solve. So you asked me that question. I thought that like our content was good, but we could do more and better at scale. People are solving really gnarly problems with LLMs, and starting with that defined problem, and any go-to-market professional can come up with 3 right off the top of their head that is just plaguing them. I think the second is actually spending a little bit of time mapping out what your desired outcome would be, and then asking Claude to design, or ChatGPT or whatever your LLM of choice is, Perplexity, asking it to build a workflow, asking it to give you tips and tricks on architecture. Architecture is really, really important. It's like the foundation of a house.
And when we're talking about this architecture, just going back, the pieces and parts are like your ICP and your voice and things like that. But what you're doing technically is you're taking those documents, that information, and you're sort of pasting it into Notion. Is what you're doing.
We're building it in Notion.
And there's probably a certain kind of way you have to organize it so that Notion can make sense of it and so on.
Yes. So the way that we built it in Claude is we built a set of skills, and we categorize those skills in terms of each skill is a specific thing it does. So we have a set of skills that are categorized under intelligence, and that's like market pulse. It includes customer research and competitive intelligence. So that's one set of skills. Another set of skills is orchestration. So that's the workflow. It's like the ideation engine, and then what formats are we going to atomize this into, the campaign manager, et cetera. And there's a set of writing skills. So we do have a separate skill for long form writer versus email writer versus social post writer.
Is this akin to like having a bunch of different specific agents that are kind of doing those specific jobs? Like,
well,
is
agents
each
actually,
skill?
yes. So agents are doing the execution. The skills are basically like you are this type of writer, and I'm going to tell you exactly how you should write based on our brand skills. So we have a skills arsenal, and we basically we have the machine draws on all of those skills and on the Notion core. So when we talk about architecture, you could literally open up a task in CoWork and say, give me some content ideas.
Right.
And go to these websites and go to Notion, but the token usage on that is really gnarly, especially if it's a deep research project. This way, if you have this arsenal of skills and the architecture where it knows to go every single time, you actually burn a lot less.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it costs, that stuff adds up in a hurry.
Were you surprised by the amount of token use in this process, or was it pretty planned out and you knew exactly what you were going to do?
We did not know exactly.
Okay.
And actually, our Q2 just ended June 30th. We do OKRs at the company level every quarter. And second quarter at DefenseStorm was the quarter in which we were actually going to measure and start to meter. Because we wanted all of the teams. It's not just the go-to-market team that's doing work in AI, but it's also our development teams, our SOC team, everybody. We wanted people to be able to experiment. And so we did not put any limits on token usage. We instead measured efficiency and effectiveness gains, and then we kind of bumped it up against what we were spending. And we did find definitively that the juice was worth the squeeze, that the expense and token usage was definitely worth the output that we were getting and the productivity improvements that we were getting. I think that because we have the benefit of having a couple of AI engineers on staff, once it's in IT, once it's in go-to-market, and then there's a few other folks who maybe it's not their main day job, but they certainly have a keen interest in it. They're always tinkering with how to how to tweak the architecture so that we can have that balance of really effective output with not burning up your monthly usage by the 10th of the month like we were before.
What's the one thing that you feel like now you've gone through this, that you wish you would have known when you started this?
I wish we would have started earlier. Yeah. They always say that the best time to plant a tree is 30 years ago, and the second best time is right now.
Yeah.
So just get started. I do think that architecture has to be addressed early in the process. And if you don't think it's a great investment to hire an AI engineer, I think that's a little short-sighted. One thing that we're finding is that AI is not taking jobs. AI is changing the nature of the day-to-day work. But as you heard from our heavy human loop process, which I think is absolutely necessary to maintain the quality that we need, you need your humans and you need your specialization. So even though everybody's kind of a little bit more like a generalist, like our product marketing might be, veering into content and campaign work more than they used to before LLMs. Those specializations are still very necessary, and invest in a go-to-market engineer if you are at all able.
That's a really good one. Like, what are the roles you need in the first place?
Yeah.
And I think, I've heard in talking to a lot of different people, it's just, you really, with these tools and with AI, you can't replace that sort of creative, leadership, visionary part of what you do. That's going to be a human who's going to make that decision, and then you need the people who are going to make that come to life. And now we're talking about AI engineers. That's like the new sort of tech.
And they do bring, the humans always bring discernment and taste, right? That should never be outsourced to an LLM.
Well, I got one more question. It's a question I ask everybody. What is a word or phrase that we should no longer use in the workplace?
Leverage.
Leverage.
I hate the word leverage.
Like we're using leverage.
I'm gonna leverage this, article I just read, or I'm gonna leverage the word leverage is used in marketing crap too much, and it needs to go away.
Yeah. Is it just overused? Is it just the wrong word? What is it about the word?
You can just say the word use. Yeah. I'm all about simple. I think simple and plain
talk the way that
best.
people talk, well then let's just do that.
Okay.
Gina, this was great. Thank you so much for stopping by.
I had a great time. Thanks for having me.
El Fangal.